Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just won MVP. Is he winning a ring next? Shai joins Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook as the 3 players to win MVP for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And tonight, his team took a 2-0 lead on the Minnesota Timberwolves. So is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander now going to win his first championship? If I can find the clip, I made a video when the trade happened, which is kind of crazy. You can't get everything right, but this is one thing I did predict correct. I said when the Clippers made the Paul George for Shai trade, I thought short term, obviously it made sense and that's why they did it. But I thought long term they could regret it because Shai looked awesome when he played for the Clippers. So if I find that clip, I'm going to put it in here. Now, I'm not going to say I predicted that Shai was going to turn into the MVP. I definitely wasn't thinking that, but I could tell he was going to be a really good player. And I was like, long term, I don't know if they're going to be happy that they made this trade. Would Shai still have turned into the MVP by being on the Clippers? Different situation, changes things, but Shai clearly put in that work. Either way, he would have been really good. The thing about OKC is everybody knows their role. They come in, they play for each other, and they all play hard, and they know the game plan. The pickup of Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein have been invaluable to this team. Alex Caruso has been there. He's won a championship. He knows what it takes to get to that, top tier level. He obviously has plenty of years and experience in the league playing with players like LeBron, so he knows what it's like to play with superstar players. In addition, Alex Caruso went through the G League at one time, so he also knows what it's like to work your way up. And same thing with Isaiah Hartenstein. He was in the G League, before he, got to the Clippers and the Knicks and stuff like that. He was literally in the G League as well. So those 2 players are not only veterans, but they understand what it's like to go from the bottom up. And that type of knowledge, experience, and stuff like that is something that a young team of, Shai and Jalen Williams and Chet, for example, who was the number 2 overall pick, who, not saying they didn't have their struggles, in their basketball careers, but they like Chet, number 2 overall pick, right? Like he didn't have to go through the G League and stuff like that. Like he was a lottery pick. So my point is they have a great mix of talent, obviously in Shai being the MVP, their leader, but also veteran leadership in Isaiah Hartenstein, Alex Caruso, and, other players as well. And then young up-and-coming talent, Jalen Williams. You got Casey Wallace coming off the bench. Like, everybody just is focused on this team. So they're up 2-0 on the Timberwolves, and I said that I predicted them to win in 6, maybe 5. It's kind of looking like 5 now at this point. Like, they just look so overpowering, which is what I said in the video. I said I feel like in the end, they're just going to overpower them offensively, defensively, especially when they go on their, runs. But whether it's 5 or 6 or whatever number it is, I think this team is going to the NBA Finals. Now, I predicted the Warriors to go to the NBA Finals, and then obviously Steph got hurt in the first game of the Minnesota series. So, we'll never really know what was going to happen because without Steph, there's no way, right? Now, depending on who they play in the finals also would make it different and interesting because, again, we're talking about Pacers or Knicks who, again, Pacers love to run and put up like 150 points, and we know the Oklahoma City Thunder love to score a ton of points too. So you have that style that is kind of similar in that sense. But then if they play the Knicks, for example, who also are a good offensive team this year, I know people tend to think of a Tom Thibodeau team as a defensive team and not offensive, but they were one of the top offenses in the league. However, we know they love to play physical, grinded out, tough basketball, and the Thunder also like to do that too. So it would be a really interesting matchup both ways, but the Thunder, I think it's clear that they're going to the finals. It's just going to be a matter of who they end up playing, in my opinion. I'm not trying to be disrespectful and count out the Timberwolves. I understand. They could come back. They are a talented team. I think OKC is going to win this series. I'm not saying it's going to be a sweep, but I do think they're going to win the series regardless. So they are putting themselves in a great position. Well, obviously, if they go to the finals, they're going to have home court advantage no matter who they play, but they're putting themselves in a great position to give themselves a great chance to win the finals. Again, I have to see who they're going to play and, what I think about the matchups and stuff like that, but they're definitely giving themselves a chance. Such a young team has a chance to win the finals. Because usually teams this young I think they're actually the youngest team in the NBA. If you add up everybody's age, I think they're the youngest team, which is kind of crazy that this team might go to the finals. But we have to also remember their best player, Shai, is 26, which is not old, but he's literally in his prime. So it's not like their best player is 19. That would be, can you imagine a 19-year-old leading them to the NBA finals? But anyway, congratulations to Shai for winning MVP. And let's see what happens in the finals. I am ready to watch it.